You've seen a fair amount in the past few hours. And frankly, it's given you a lot to be unhappy about. The Queen blasted Durce's moon to smithereens, your prized prisoner suddenly escaped, and a whole bunch of fists and zippy supernatural bullshit got thrown around. But you're still standing here calmly and minding your own business in spite of it all. Even the most proficient of dignitaries would know not to stick their schnoz into a mess that sticky. Since the boss blew out of the big house and went rogue with the Queen, you find it best to just lay low and ease yourself into whatever power vacuum inevitably forms. You're kind of counting on her imperiousness being distracted for the time being. If she happens to be down for the count, even better. But you wouldn't bet against her. Hell hath no fury like a giant tyrannical fishwoman who was just stabbed in the chest. DD. Locate the Queen. You're surprised there aren't any bodies lying around after the scuffle you witnessed earlier. You take note of the fuchsia blood splattered across the tile. A significant amount to be sure, but the owner is conspicuously absent. That might make your claim to power a little more contentious. But you'll deal with it in time. Either way, she's not around. DD. Keep looking. You saw Noir fighting the prince and a few of his cronies here not too long ago, but you gave up on trying to follow the action pretty quickly. All those flashing colors weren't exactly easy on the slits. You're not sure what happened to him after that. Normally, you can't make any assumptions with that guy, but all attempts to contact him have gone nowhere. And considering the whole planet's in pieces, things couldn't have gone well for the bastard. That outcome is predictable enough. What's more surprising are the telltale flecks of fuchsia marking the scene. She sure does get around, especially with a hole in her chest. DD, look harder. Oh shit! How did this amphibious abomination pop up? You know that its creation was part of her plan and all, but it's still damn ugly. DD, change to something a little less garish. Oh, well, what do you know? Fourth time's the charm. DD, okay, back off a little. She looks pretty busy. You didn't expect her to be done for just yet, but leave it to the Queen to take on a legion of brats with the amount of damage she's taken already. She does have a pervasive habit of blowing these kinds of situations out of the water. You hope she appreciates the wordplay. DD, observe. DD, wait for it. There's a reason you did never bet against her. Back when the White Queen was still a pain point on your agenda, you heard a fair number of rumors about her ring having fancy healing powers. You figured it was just a bunch of talk. Those sorts of things usually are. But you'll be damned if these aren't some fancy healing powers. You check to see if the Queen has a ring on. Of course she does. Whether it's a recent addition is anyone's guess. What, with the shimmering shit show that is her usual get-up? Either way, you're wasting brain power speculating over a coincidence. Point is, it looks like she got some kind of ace in the hole. One that lets her shake off just about any damage dealt to her. She's essentially even more immortal than before, if that even makes sense. DD, recalculate. You're starting to reconsider the notion of crossing a now triply immortal aquatic matriarch, and yet you still don't really feel like sticking your neck out for her. You've always been one to work from the background, especially since you don't have any fancy powers. You decide to meet her halfway. DD, contact CD. This is the perfect opportunity to deploy the droll. You give him a buzz on the radio, and to your surprise, he actually picks up in a timely fashion for once. You ask where the hell he's been this whole time. Has he not noticed everything that's been going on? He replies that he saw the boss lady lying dead on the ground and noticed the very important prisoner leave after a conversation with a suspicious-looking harlequin ghost woman. After he was gone, the ghost appeared somewhere else, trying to play some goofy japes on him. He's almost managed to track her down, he says, but it's like she's in two places at once. You tell him to shut up, put the games behind him, and focus. You haven't heard anything from the dignitary or any of your other superiors in a while. Probably because the Queen is dead, along with most of your superiors. You mention this to the dignitary. He huffs at you. He tells you the Queen isn't dead just yet, and that she needs backup against the nobles and a load of rowdy hooligans. Even though you are delighted to finally be of use to the Queen, you insist that this ghost needs busting post-haste. He tells you that if he hears one more word about this ghost, you'll be joining her. You say okay, and sorry. You're pretty sure those words don't involve ghosts. He then tells you to hot-foot it on over to HQ for some necessary supplies. You ask, what kind of supplies? He asks you if you like obscenely garish fashion statements. You say you'll be there right away. CD, listen to DD. DD. Assist. CD. You explain to the droll that you never actually thought you'd use this thing. It's a real sophisticated piece of machinery. A prized armory mech that the Queen gave to you to help deal with the Prince. The controls are about as hands-off as possible, which is to say, they interface directly with the user's brain. You consider advising him not to think too hard about how the Queen's tech might mess with his head, but then you remember who you're talking to. The droll gets real excited and asks if he can see what all the shiny buttons do. You warn him not to touch or press anything. Drone Gorg comes equipped with a totally unnecessary Wi-Fi connection as one of its many bells and whistles. And you have no idea what kind of unpleasant stuff could be floating around on the many servers out in the furthest ring. He says oops because he already clicked a button while you were talking and something popped up that was really flashing and interesting. You ask why he would even do that. It is obviously some sort of virus. He apologizes. You sigh and tell him that all he has to do is input some coordinates. It'll take him straight to the Queen, and he doesn't need to touch anything other than that. She's going to need some serious firepower out there. And this thing probably has an autopilot attack mode or something. So just leave everything to the drone. DD. Relay coordinates. Fucking hell, shit, goddamn chowder-headed good for nothing. DD. Abscond. Okay, you're done. You don't care what this bumbling imbecile does at this point, as long as you score some credit for getting this ball rolling again. CD. Blast off.